Hi, my name's Peter, and I'm going to be reading from Stories of the Saints, written by Carrie Wallace and illustrated by Nick Thornborough. And I'm going to be reading the story of Saint Dominic.
Oh, my favorite!
Dominic's mother was afraid she'd never have a child. So she went on a pilgrimage from her home in Spain to an abbey at Silos to ask God to give her one. On her way, she had a dream. A dog leaped from her womb with a torch in its mouth, and the torch set the whole world on fire.
Wow.
So, when Dominic was born, she gave him a name that sounded like Dominic Canis, which means the Lord's dog. As a young man, Dominic was a great student. But when Spain began to suffer from a terrible famine, he sold all his books and even his clothes and furniture to buy food for the poor. Would you have me study from these dead skins when people are dying of hunger? He asked. Dominic even tried to sell himself. He saw slave traders buying other people and mistreating them, and begged them to take him instead. After his studies were finished, the Pope sent him to reason with the Cathars, a group in France who taught that all material things, even our bodies, were evil. Dominic knew that wasn't what the Bible said. It said that God made the whole world and loved it. The Pope had sent other monks to teach the Cathars that God loved his world. But those monks had been so greedy that the Cathars thought the monks proved their point. These priests worship wealth, not God, they said. Dominic lived such a simple life that the Cathars were willing to listen to him. They agreed to debate him. But when Dominic finished speaking, the judges couldn't decide who had won. So the Cathars requested a trial by fire. They built a big fire, and when it was good and hot, they tossed in writings by the Cathars and writings by Dominic. As soon as the Cathar books fell into the flames, they caught fire and burned away to nothing. But Dominic's didn't burn at all. Instead, the pages of his writing rose up in the hot air above the fire, untouched by the flame. You tell the truth about God, the Cathars said in wonder. Because of Dominic's teaching, many of them decided to return to true faith. And Dominic founded a convent at Prouille in France to make sure good teaching would always be found there. But then a Cathar murdered a French priest. Furious, the French nobles armed themselves and started to do terrible things to the Cathars. Dominic begged the nobles for mercy on the Cathars. He followed the armies that were committing terrible crimes and cared for the people they had wounded, doing everything he could to help them. One day, as Dominic prayed for the suffering Cathars, he had a vision of Mary. She gave him a set of beads. Teach the people to pray with these, she told him. And that was the beginning of the rosary that is still used today, all over the world. As word of Dominic's work spread, he became so famous that people wanted him to become a bishop. I'd rather run away with nothing than become a bishop, Dominic told them. Instead, he founded his own order with only 6 followers. They devoted their lives to prayer, penance, and preaching. The Pope blessed the order, and Dominic and his followers, who are called Dominicans, carried it all around the world. Everywhere Dominic went, he took off his shoes as he left town and walked barefoot, and he never slept on a bed. Even at the end of his life, when he was old and exhausted from a fever, he still asked to be laid on the ground. Stay humble and loving, he told his brother monks who had gathered there. Then he died, surrounded by the members of the order he had founded. The end.
Oh, what a great story.
I know.
Can you read it again?
You can watch that video again.